The man teaching us to communicate was sleeping with my wife. And that was the least horrifying thing on those recordings. The email arrived at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday. I know because I was awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering why Rachel had stopped reaching for me in the dark. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. Subject line, cloud storage backup complete, 47 audio files. I didn't use cloud storage. I sat up slowly, careful not to wake her. The glow from my screen painted the room blue. My finger hovered over the notification. Some part of me already knew. Some animal instinct that recognizes danger before the conscious mind catches up. I tapped it anyway. The files loaded in a list. Neat, organized, dated over the past 12 months. Each one labeled with a timestamp and a single word. Session. Session? My hands started shaking. I couldn't make them stop. I grabbed my headphones from the drawer, the same drawer where Rachel kept her sleep mask and the lavender pillow spray she swore helped her relax. I walked to my home office, closed the door, and clicked on file number 1, static, then her voice. He doesn't suspect anything yet. I knew that voice. I'd woken up to it for 10 years. I'd heard it whisper I love you and scream during arguments and laugh at my terrible jokes. But I'd never heard it like this, cold, calculating, clinical. A man's voice responded, warm, familiar in a way that made my stomach drop. Good, we need to be careful, Rachel. This only works if he doesn't see it coming. I clicked on file number 2, then 3, then 4. By file 5, I understood I wasn't listening to conversations. I was listening to my marriage die in real time. Each recording, a eulogy I hadn't known was being written. The subject line said 47 files. I had 43 left to go. I looked at the clock. 3:17 a.m. Rachel was still asleep in our bed, breathing softly, dreaming whatever people dream when they become strangers. How long had they been planning to destroy me? I made coffee while the sun came up, black, the way I always drank it. My hands had stopped shaking somewhere around file 8, replaced by something colder, something that felt like watching yourself from outside your body. File 1 had been exploratory, careful. I don't know when it started, Rachel's voice said. Maybe it was always there, this feeling that I'd chosen wrong. The man, I still hadn't placed his voice, made a sympathetic sound. It's not wrong to want more, Rachel. You're allowed to want more. By file 3, they were meeting for coffee. File 4, lunch. File 5, she was laughing, actually laughing. The sound I'd been trying to coax out of her for months with bad puns and surprise takeout dinners. He'd gotten in it in one session. When did you know you loved him? She asked in file 5, her voice soft, vulnerable, the way she used to sound with me. The moment you walked into my office, he answered. That's when I first felt it. Not anger, not betrayal, something deeper. The sensation of ground that should be solid suddenly giving way beneath your feet. File 6 was 3 months later. They were discussing logistics. Tuesday nights, she said. Michael works late on Tuesdays. We have 2 hours. I did work late on Tuesdays. I'd picked up extra projects because Rachel mentioned wanting to renovate the kitchen. She'd shown me Pinterest boards, smiled at my attempts to understand the difference between subway tile and herringbone. I'd been earning money to make her happy. She'd been using that time to be happy with someone else. File 7, they were in a hotel room. I could hear it in the acoustics, the hollow way their voices carried, the distant hum of an air conditioning unit. Does Michael know about us? He asked. Her laugh was like glass breaking. Of course not. He's so busy trying to fix things, he can't see what's actually broken. I paused the recording, stared at my coffee mug, the one Emma had painted at a pottery studio for Father's Day. World's best dad, in her crooked 7-year-old handwriting. What was broken? I'd asked Rachel that question 100 times. In therapy, in our kitchen at midnight, in the car on the way to her mother's house. "Nothing's broken," she'd always said. "We're just going through a phase." I pressed play on file 8. "Does he still think I'm here to save your marriage?" The man's voice carried amusement, like this was funny, like my life was a joke he was telling at a dinner party. Rachel's response was quieter. "He trusts you. That's what makes this perfect." The coffee mug slipped from my hand. It hit the desk but didn't break, just tipped over, brown liquid spreading across my workspace, soaking into papers. Tax returns, Emma's report card, a birthday card Rachel had given me last month. To my best friend and partner. I clicked on the file properties. Session 8, recorded 6 months ago. The date stared back at me from the screen. 6 months ago, I'd paid someone $200 an hour to help save my marriage. And I'd been paying the man sleeping with my wife, Dr. Nathan Pierce, our marriage counselor. The realization hit like cold water. I remembered sitting across from him week after week, pouring my heart out, explaining how I felt, Rachel pulling away, asking what I was doing wrong. He'd nod. Take notes in that leather journal. Speak in that calm, measured tone that therapists use. "You need to trust the process, Michael. Healing takes time." I'd trusted him. God, I'd trusted him completely. My phone buzzed. A text from Rachel. "Morning. Can you take Emma to school? Running late." Running late. I looked at our bedroom through the office door, cracked open just enough to see the hallway. She wasn't running late. She was lying in our bed, probably scrolling through her phone, texting him. Planning the next Tuesday night while I drove our daughter to second grade, I typed back, "Sure." My finger hesitated over the send button. Then I added, "We have therapy tonight, right?" 3 dots appeared immediately. "Yes, 7 p.m. Don't forget." Don't forget. As if I could. As if I'd ever be able to forget any of this again. I looked at the screen. 39 files left. I had 12 hours before I had to sit across from Dr. Nathan Pierce and pretend I didn't know. 12 hours to decide what to do with the recording of my wife, laughing about my ignorance while the man paid to help us plan logistics for their affair. I clicked on file 9. Then I went to Rachel's office. I'd never searched through Rachel's things before. 10 years of marriage, and I'd respected her privacy the way you're supposed to in a healthy relationship. Her desk drawers were her territory. Her phone was her business. Trust, I'd thought, was about giving people space. Turns out trust is just what you call it when you don't know you're being lied to. Her desk was organized. Color-coded folders. Labels in her neat handwriting. Bills. Emma. School. Insurance. And tucked in the back, behind the household files, a leather-bound journal I'd never seen before. Purple, her favorite color, the edges soft from being held. I pulled it out. The leather was warm, like it had recently been touched. It smelled like her perfume, lavender. I used to love that smell, used to bury my face in her neck just to breathe it in. I opened to the first page. Session 1, notes, Dr. Pierce. My stomach turned, but I kept reading. M doesn't suspect. N says this is normal for early affairs. The spouse is usually the last to know. Asked how to manage M's attempts at connection. N suggested small rejections. Nothing dramatic, just enough to create distance without triggering alarm. Small rejections. I thought about the last 3 months. How many times had I reached for her hand and felt her fingers stay limp? How many times had I suggested date night and gotten "I'm tired" or "maybe next week"? Those weren't natural responses. They were instructions from him, from Dr. Nathan Pierce, licensed marriage and family therapist, who had looked me in the eye and said Rachel's withdrawal might be her way of protecting herself. Give her space, Michael. Don't push. I'd given her space. She'd used it to move further away. I flipped through the pages. Purple ink, her favorite pen, the one I'd given her for our anniversary, engraved with her initials. Session 7, N says make M doubt his memory more. Today I told him I never said I'd be home for dinner, even though I texted him I would. He looked confused but apologized. Working. I remembered that night. I'd made her favorite pasta, set the table, put on the playlist from our wedding. When she walked in at 10 p.m., I'd asked where she'd been. I told you I had drinks with Sarah. She'd said, you texted me you'd be home by 7. No, I didn't. Check your phone. I had checked. The text was gone. She must have deleted it while I was cooking, and I'd apologized to her. Stood in our kitchen and apologized for misremembering something I knew I remembered correctly. That was session 7. I was on page 12 now. The entries got worse. Session 14, custody discussion. N says courts favor mothers, especially if father shows instability. Need to document M's concerning behavior. Started list 1, forgetful, medication helping this. 2, mood swings, also medication. 3, withdrawn from Emma, need to work on this. Medication, I flipped faster, found page 17. Xanax in morning coffee, working well. M tired all the time now, perfect for narrative. N says chemical dependency looks like mental health issues in court evaluations. The room tilted. I sat down hard in Rachel's desk chair, the same chair she'd sat in while writing this, while documenting how to make me seem crazy, while plotting to drug me into compliance. I looked at the coffee mug on my desk through the doorway, the one I'd just drunk from, the one Rachel made for me every morning before I left for work, pressing it into my hands with a kiss on my cheek. You work so hard, she'd say. Let me take care of you. She'd been taking care of me, all right, taking care that I'd seem unstable enough to lose my daughter. My hands weren't shaking anymore. They were perfectly still, holding this journal filled with my wife's handwriting. Her perfect, neat handwriting that had written our wedding vows and signed Emma's permission slips and now documented a systematic plan to gaslight me into oblivion. I turned to page 23. One sentence, underlined 3 times in red ink. Goal, full custody by Christmas. Christmas was in 8 weeks. Emma had already started her list for Santa. She wanted art supplies and a new bike, and for mommy and daddy to be happy again. I closed the journal, set it back exactly where I'd found it, behind the insurance folder. Rachel couldn't know I'd been here. Not yet. Not until I understood the full scope of what they'd planned. I stood up, walked back to my office, sat down at my computer, and looked at the list of audio files. 39 left to listen to. I clicked on file 15. Dr. Nathan Pierce's voice filled my headphones, warm and professional and absolutely certain of his own righteousness. If we can get him on anxiety medication legitimately, he was saying, the court will see a pattern of mental health issues. I can write the prescription, make it look like he came to me separately as a patient. Is that legal? Rachel asked. It's creative documentation. Lots of therapists treat family members of clients. As long as we're careful with the dates, no one will question it. I clicked pause, looked at the orange prescription bottle on my desk, the one Rachel had given me 3 months ago. Dr. Pierce thinks this will help with your stress, she'd said. He mentioned it in our last session. I'd taken it without question, because why wouldn't I? He was our therapist. She was my wife. I was stressed from work, from trying to fix whatever was wrong with us, from lying awake at night wondering where I'd gone wrong. The pills had made me foggy, tired. I'd thought it was age, burnout, normal responses to normal stress. It was Xanax, and I'd never actually been prescribed it. I picked up the bottle, shook it. The pills rattled inside like tiny accusations. I opened my phone, took a photo of the label. Dr. Nathan Pierce's name, DEA number, prescription number, all official, all fake. I thought about calling the police, thought about calling a lawyer, thought about waking Rachel up and demanding answers. Instead, I clicked on file 16. No affair, no mistake, just premeditated destruction. and I had 38 more files that would tell me exactly how deep this went. Files 15 through 22 painted a picture I didn't want to see, but I couldn't look away. Session 15 was recorded 4 months ago. Rachel's voice had a different quality now, confident, almost businesslike. He asked me yesterday if I thought we were making progress, she said. Dr. Pierce, Nathan, she called him Nathan now, laughed. What did you tell him? That therapy takes time, that we're working on communication. Pause. I used your exact words from our session last week. He bought it completely. Of course he did. Michael's a believer, Rachel. He wants to fix things. That makes him predictable. I stopped the recording, stared at the wall of my office where Rachel had hung a photo from our wedding. Young faces, stupid smiles. That version of me had no idea he was marrying someone who would one day describe him as predictable to her lover. I pressed play. I need to know the timeline, Rachel said. How long do we keep doing this? Until the foundation is solid. We need documented sessions showing Michael's instability. We need witnesses, your friends, Emma's teachers, noticing changes in his behavior. We need a paper trail that tells the story we want the court to see. Which is devoted mother, struggling husband, wife who tried everything, including extensive therapy, but ultimately had to protect herself and her child from an increasingly unstable man. The clinical way he described it, like he was presenting a case study, like I was a problem to be solved rather than a person whose life they were systematically dismantling. What about Emma? Rachel asked. She still adores him. Kids are adaptable. Right now she loves both of you equally. Our job is to shift that balance. Small things. You're the consistent parent. He's the one who forgets things, loses his temper, seems confused. He doesn't lose his temper. He will. Once we adjust his medication dosage, the mood swings will come. Irritability is a common side effect when you mix Xanax with... Static covered the rest of the sentence. I rewound, played it again. The static was still there, but I caught enough. With the sleep medication I'm adding next week, they weren't just drugging me. They were experimenting with combinations, seeing what would break me fastest. File 18 had the confirmation I'd already found in Rachel's notebook, but hearing it out loud made it real in a different way. He's been so tired lately, Rachel said. There was laughter in her voice, actual amusement. The Xanax in his morning coffee is working perfectly. He thinks he's burning out from work. How much are you giving him? 1 milligram, crushed into his coffee every morning. He never notices, just thinks I'm being sweet, making his coffee before he wakes up. I looked at the coffee maker in my office, the one I use now, at 6 a.m. alone. I hadn't drunk Rachel's coffee in 3 days since finding these files. My head was clearer, my hands steadier. I thought it was adrenaline. It was the absence of daily sedation. If we can get him on anxiety meds legitimately, Nathan said, the court will see a pattern of mental health issues. I can write the prescription, make it look like he came to me separately as a patient. Is that safe? For you, I mean. It's creative documentation, Rachel. Lots of therapists treat family members of clients. As long as we backdate carefully, no one will question it. I'll note that Michael came to me concerned about work stress, that I recommended short-term pharmaceutical intervention, all above board. Nothing about this was above board. This was fraud, medical fraud, and I had the recording to prove it. File 21 was worse. I think he's starting to suspect something, Rachel said. She sounded nervous. What makes you say that? He asked me last night who I was texting. He's never asked that before. Did you show him? Of course, it was just my sister, but the way he asked, he sounded paranoid. Nathan's voice dropped lower, soothing. That's the medication working, Rachel. Paranoia, anxiety. These are textbook responses. If anything, this is perfect. If he starts accusing you of things, making unfounded claims, it supports our narrative. Our narrative, like my suspicions, which were completely founded, were symptoms of mental illness rather than normal responses to being systematically betrayed. What if he's right, though? Rachel asked. What if some part of him knows? Then we move faster. How's the documentation coming? Rustling sounds, papers. I've been keeping the journal you suggested. Every incident where he seems forgetful or irritable, I'm up to 23 entries. 23 entries in her purple notebook. 23 fabricated moments of my supposed instability. I'd read them all this morning. Half were exaggerations. The other half were complete fiction. Good. Start looping in your support system. Mention to your mother that you're worried about Michael. Tell your friends he's been distant, nothing dramatic, just concerned wife noticing changes in her husband. He's going to hate me. He already suspects you're pulling away. When this is over, he'll understand you did what you had to do for Emma, for yourself. The file ended there. Session 22. I sat in the silence of my office. Outside, I could hear Rachel moving around upstairs, the shower running. She'd be getting ready for work soon. She'd come downstairs in her navy suit, the one she wore for important meetings. She'd kiss my cheek, make me coffee, ask about my day. And I'd have to pretend I didn't know any of this. If you've ever heard something you couldn't unhear, something that changed everything you thought you knew, type "I understand" in the comments below. The prescription bottle sat on my desk like evidence at a crime scene, which I realized it was. I photographed it from every angle. The label, the pills inside, the DEA number that looked official, but I now knew was connected to fabricated patient records. I'd been taking these pills for 3 months, trusting them because they came from our therapist, from the man who was supposed to be helping us. My phone rang, Rachel's name on the screen. "Hey," I answered. My voice sounded normal. Amazing what you could fake when you had to. "Can you grab milk on the way home? We're out." We, such a small word, such a massive lie. "Sure, whole or 2%? 2%. Thanks, babe. Oh, and don't forget, therapy tonight at 7. I remember. Pause. "You sound weird. You okay?" The concern in her voice was perfect. If I didn't know better, I'd believe she actually cared. Just tired. "You're always tired lately. Maybe you should talk to Dr. Pierce about adjusting your medication." The audacity, the sheer breathtaking audacity of suggesting I talk to the man who'd prescribed me illegal medication about adjusting my illegal medication. "Maybe," I said. "Love you." 2 words, she said them easily, the way you'd say "see you later" or "have a good day." Meaningless sounds to fill the space before hanging up. "Love you too," I said, because what else could I say? The truth? That I knew she was poisoning me? That I'd spent the night listening to her plot my destruction with the man teaching us to communicate? She hung up. I looked at the pill bottle, opened my laptop, started researching. Xanax, alprazolam, when taken without medical supervision, drowsiness, confusion, impaired memory, difficulty concentrating, long-term use, dependency, withdrawal symptoms, cognitive impairment. Everything I'd been experiencing for 3 months, I'd attributed to stress, to age, to the normal wear of trying to save a failing marriage. It was chemical warfare, precise, calculated, designed to make me doubt my own mind while they built their case against me. I found a lab testing facility 30 minutes away, took a sample of the pills. I needed documentation, real documentation, the kind that would hold up when I showed a lawyer what they'd done. My daughter's voice came from upstairs. "Daddy, can you make pancakes?" Emma, 7 years old, purple backpack with unicorns. Drawing of our family on the refrigerator, stick figures holding hands under a crayon sun. In Rachel's notebook, page 23. Goal, full custody by Christmas. I closed my laptop, went upstairs. Emma was at the kitchen table coloring. Rachel was drinking coffee. Coffee she'd made herself, I noticed. She didn't offer me any. "Daddy, look!" Emma held up her drawing. "It's from art class yesterday." I took it. Construction paper, markers, 3 figures at a beach. My heart stopped. "That's beautiful, sweetie. Who's this?" I pointed at the tall figure with yellow hair. "That's Dr. Pierce. Remember when Mommy said we went to the beach with him? It was so fun." I looked at Rachel. She'd gone very still, coffee cup frozen halfway to her lips. "When was this?" I asked, my voice calm, curious, not accusing, not yet. Emma frowned, thinking hard. A couple weeks ago, when you were at your work trip?" I'd gone to a conference in Denver 3 weeks ago, 2 days. Rachel had insisted she'd be fine with Emma, had kissed me goodbye and told me not to worry. She'd taken our daughter to the beach with her lover. "That sounds nice," I said. I smiled at Emma, ruffled her hair. "Did you build sandcastles?" "3. And Dr. Pierce buried me in the sand, and Mommy said it was our special secret, so..." She stopped, looked at Rachel. "Was I not supposed to tell?" "It's okay, honey," Rachel said smoothly. "Daddy doesn't mind. Do you, babe?" She was challenging me, right there, daring me to react in front of Emma, to be the unstable one, the angry father, the man who couldn't control his emotions. I looked at my daughter's drawing again. At the bottom, in her careful 7-year-old handwriting, our secret family trip. Secret family, 3 people, not 4. "Of course not," I said. "Sounds like you had fun." I went back to my office, closed the door, and for the first time since this started, I felt something other than shock or betrayal. I felt rage. I should have stopped listening, should have gone to a lawyer right then with what I had. But I needed to know how deep this went, needed to understand the complete scope of their plan. File 25 was recorded 2 weeks after the beach trip. "Emma almost told him," Rachel said. She sounded worried. "Almost?" "She mentioned the beach. I covered, but it was close. We need to be more careful about what we do with her around." "Or," Nathan said slowly, "we use it." "Use what?" "Emma's attachment to me. Kids are honest. If a custody evaluator asks Emma how she feels about Dr. Pierce, and she lights up, talks about fun trips and how nice I am, that helps our case. You want to use our daughter as a witness against her own father?" Silence. Then, "I want to give you the ammunition you need to win. When this goes to court, and it will go to court, Emma's testimony will matter. 7 is old enough for judges to consider her preference. She loves Michael. She loves the idea of Michael, the father who's present and stable. But if over the next few months you're the consistent parent, and he's the one who forgets pickups, misses school events, seems distracted and irritable..." He let the sentence hang. "Kids bond with reliability. We just need to shift who represents that reliability." File 28 made it explicit. "When the social worker asks about Daddy," Nathan was coaching, "what do you say?" A small voice, Emma's voice, on a recording I didn't know existed. He scares me sometimes." "Good girl. Now let's practice the crying. Real tears are better. Think about something sad." I ripped the headphones off, stood up so fast my chair rolled backward into the wall. My hands were shaking again, but not from shock this time. They were teaching my daughter to lie, to cry on command, to testify against me in a custody evaluation. Emma, who left me notes in my lunch, who insisted on reading bedtime stories together even when she could read them herself, who'd told me last week that I was her best friend in the whole world. They were turning her into a weapon. I picked up the headphones, put them back on. I had to hear the rest. "That's perfect, Emma," Rachel's voice said. "When we meet the nice lady from the court, can you tell her that?" "But Daddy doesn't scare me. Daddy's nice." "I know, sweetie, but remember what we talked about. Sometimes we have to say things that aren't completely true to help Mommy. You want to help Mommy, right?" "I guess." And remember, this is our secret, just like the beach trip. We don't tell Daddy about practice time with Dr. Pierce. The recording ended. I looked at Emma's drawing again. Our secret family trip. She'd been 7 years old, drawing a picture of betrayal without understanding what it meant, being coached to betray me without understanding the stakes. I carefully folded the drawing, put it in a folder with the pill bottle photos, the screenshots of audio files, the pictures of Rachel's notebook entries, evidence, all of it, evidence. But evidence of what? Exactly. A wife having an affair? That was common. A therapist sleeping with a client's spouse? Unethical, but not necessarily criminal. Coaching a child to lie in court? That was different. That was custody interference, parental alienation, and I had the recording to prove it. No co-parenting, no shared custody, just complete erasure. That was their plan. I clicked on file 31. The insurance policy was in the filing cabinet where we kept important documents, birth certificates, Emma's social security card, our marriage license, and apparently a $2 million life insurance policy on me that I didn't remember signing. I pulled it out, read it carefully. The signature looked like mine. The date was 6 months ago, right after I'd started seeing Dr. Pierce for individual therapy that I'd never actually attended. Rachel was listed as the sole beneficiary. The paper felt heavy, heavier than paper should feel, like it knew what it was worth, what I was worth, dead. I photographed every page, then I listened to file 31. The policy matured last week, Nathan said. And now we wait. The divorce route is still preferred, cleaner, less complicated, but if Michael becomes a problem, if he fights for custody or threatens to expose our relationship... What are you saying? Long pause, the sound of liquid being poured, glass on wood. I'm saying options are good to have, Rachel. The policy is an insurance plan, literally. He laughed at his own joke. Accidents happen, especially to men under stress, taking unprescribed medication, driving while impaired. Jesus, Nathan. I'm not suggesting anything. I'm just saying once the policy matures, we won't need to wait for a divorce. We won't need to wait for anything. My hands went cold. I rewound, played it again, the casual way he said it. Accidents happen. Men under stress, driving while impaired. I looked at my car keys on my desk, thought about my drive home from work yesterday, how I'd felt, foggy, slow to react, how I'd drifted into the other lane and jerked back at the last second. I'd blamed exhaustion. But what if it wasn't exhaustion? What if it was the pills? What if they were waiting for me to have an accident that wasn't actually an accident? I grabbed my keys, went to the garage, popped the hood of my car. I didn't know much about cars, but I knew brake fluid should be brownish yellow. The reservoir was almost empty, and there was a small puddle underneath, dark liquid dripping onto the garage floor. I got on my back, slid under the car with my phone flashlight, found the brake line, found the slice, clean, deliberate, that had been slowly leaking fluid for God knows how long. The brake line had been cut, not severed. That would be too obvious. Just scored deeply enough that pressure and time would do the rest. Another week, maybe two, and I'd have had no brakes. On the highway, driving 65 miles per hour, probably while drugged on medication I didn't know I was taking. Accidents happen. I took photos, lots of photos. Then I called a tow truck, told them I'd noticed a leak, needed the car checked out, documented everything. When the mechanic called 2 hours later, his voice was serious. Mr. Thompson, you're lucky you caught this. Brake line's been tampered with. I'm required to file a police report. Don't, I said quickly. Not yet. I need to handle this privately first. Silence. Then, this is serious, sir. Someone tried to hurt you. I know, but I need proof of who. Can you just document everything? Photos, written report, your professional assessment? I can do that. But sir, don't drive this car. Don't drive any car until this is resolved. Whatever's going on, someone wants you dead. I hung up, sat in my office, looked at the evidence I'd accumulated over 3 days. 47 audio files documenting an affair and a conspiracy. Rachel's notebook with handwritten plans for my destruction, illegal prescriptions and proof of systematic drugging, recordings of them coaching Emma to lie in court, a $2 million insurance policy I didn't remember signing, and now brake lines cut on my car. This wasn't just about an affair. This wasn't just about custody. Session 31. Once the policy matures, we won't need to wait for divorce. They weren't planning to divorce me. They were planning to kill me, make it look like an accident, collect $2 million, and raise my daughter together while I rotted in the ground. And the worst part, the absolute worst part, was that for a moment, looking at all this evidence spread across my desk, I wondered if I was crazy, if I was connecting dots that didn't exist, if the medication and the stress and the paranoia had finally broken something fundamental in my brain. What if they were right about me being unstable? What if this was all an elaborate delusion? What if I really was losing my mind? I didn't sleep that night, just sat at my desk, surrounded by evidence, trying to decide if I was a man defending himself or a paranoiac seeing conspiracies where none existed. The pill bottle stared at me, the orange plastic, Dr. Nathan Pierce's signature, pills I'd been taking every day for 3 months because my wife and my therapist told me they'd help. I picked it up, shook it. The pills rattled like tiny accusations. I could take one right now. Let the fog roll back in. Stop thinking about cut brake lines and insurance policies and the way Rachel smiled when she kissed me goodbye this morning. I could choose blissful ignorance, medicated compliance, trust the process. My phone buzzed. Text from Rachel. Running late. Can you get Emma to bed? Love you. I looked at the clock. 9:47 p.m. I'd been sitting here for hours, spiraling. Emma had put herself to bed. I'd forgotten. Again, see? The voice in my head whispered. Unreliable, distracted, unstable. I stood up, walked upstairs. Emma's door was cracked open. She was asleep, curled around her stuffed rabbit, breathing softly. On her nightstand was a drawing, new one from today. 2 stick figures holding hands. Me and Daddy written at the top. Not 3 figures, not Dr. Pierce at the beach, just us. I sat on the edge of her bed, watched her sleep, thought about the recording where they taught her to say I scared her, where Rachel told her that lies were okay if they helped Mommy. Emma stirred, opened her eyes. Daddy. Hey, Emmy, go back to sleep. I made you something. She reached under her pillow, pulled out a folded piece of paper. Don't tell Mommy, it's a surprise. I unfolded it. A drawing of me at my desk, giant smile. World's best daddy, written in her careful handwriting. At the bottom, I love you even when Mommy says you're sad. Even when Mommy says you're sad. What does Mommy say about me being sad? I asked carefully. Emma yawned. She talks to Dr. Pierce about it sometimes, says you're sad a lot now. But I don't think you're sad. You're just tired. You should sleep more, Daddy. You're right, I should. She curled back around her rabbit. Daddy, do you like Dr. Pierce? My throat tightened. Why do you ask? Mommy says he's helping our family, but sometimes I don't want him to help. Sometimes I just want it to be us, like before. Like before the therapy, before Dr. Nathan Pierce entered our lives with his warm voice and his leather journal and his systematic plan to erase me. Me too, Emmy. Me too. She fell back asleep. I folded the drawing, put it with the others. Evidence, not of their conspiracy, but of what they were trying to take from me. I went back downstairs, back to my desk, back to the question that had been consuming me for 3 days. Was I crazy? Or was I the only sane person in this nightmare? I looked at the evidence, the recordings, the notebook, the photos, the mechanic's report, all real, all documented, all provable. Then I looked at Emma's lunchbox on the counter. Purple. Rachel had bought it for her first day of second grade. Inside the lunch I'd packed this morning, turkey sandwich, apple slices, juice box, and a note I wrote every single day. Have a great day, Emmy. Love, Dad. For one terrible moment, I wondered if they were right, if I was paranoid and unstable and breaking down under the weight of my own imagination. Then I saw the note, my handwriting, my words, my daily proof that I was present, reliable. There. I wasn't crazy. I was being gaslighted by people who turned it into a science. The difference was now I had proof, and I knew exactly what to do with it. I picked up my phone, searched for lawyers specializing in family law and criminal fraud, found one with 5-star reviews and an office downtown. Patricia Morgan, senior partner, former prosecutor, specialty, high-conflict divorce and custody cases. I drafted an email. Need urgent consultation, have evidence of systematic fraud, child alienation, and possible attempted murder. Can provide documentation. Please advise soonest. My finger hovered over send. Once I sent this, there was no going back. No more pretending, no more Tuesday night therapy sessions where I sat across from the man, sleeping with my wife, and discussed our communication issues. Once I sent this, it was war. I thought about Emma's drawing. Me and Daddy. I thought about Rachel's notebook. Goal, full custody by Christmas. I thought about the brake line under my car, carefully cut to fail at exactly the right moment. I pressed send, then I clicked on file 32, 33, 34. I had 13 files left to listen to, 13 more pieces of evidence, 13 more reasons to fight. They'd spent a year trying to break me, trying to make me doubt myself, trying to erase me from my own life. But I wasn't broken, not yet. And I had something they didn't expect. I had proof, every word they'd said, every plan they made, every crime they'd committed, and I was going to use it to destroy them. Patricia Morgan's office was on the 14th floor of a glass building downtown, chrome and leather. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. The kind of place that charged $500 an hour and earned every penny. She was 50-something, gray hair in a sharp bob, reading glasses on a chain. She'd reviewed my email at 11 p.m. and called me at 7 a.m. Bring everything, she'd said. And I mean everything. I brought everything. The USB drive with all 47 audio files sat on her desk between us. Next to it, printed transcripts I'd made of the key sessions, photos of Rachel's notebook, the prescription bottle, the mechanic's report on my brake line, Emma's drawing from the beach trip, the insurance policy. Patricia picked up each piece, examined it, set it down. Her face never changed, neutral, professional, but I saw her jaw tighten when she read the brake line report. How long have you known? She asked. 5 days. And you haven't confronted your wife? No. Good. She looked at me over her glasses. Mr. Thompson, I need you to understand what you have here. This isn't just divorce evidence. This is criminal fraud, professional misconduct, conspiracy, possibly attempted murder. I know. Do you? Because once we move forward, this gets ugly. Very ugly. Are you prepared for that? I thought about Emma's drawing, about being taught to say Daddy scares me, about Rachel crushing pills into my morning coffee while telling me she loved me. I'm prepared. Patricia nodded, picked up the USB drive. I'm going to need copies of everything. I'm also going to need you to do exactly what I say when I say it. Can you do that? Yes. First, stop taking any medication. All of it. I'm getting you an independent medical evaluation today. We need documentation of what they've been giving you and what the effects were. Okay. Second, you don't confront Rachel. You don't let her know you know anything. You continue attending therapy sessions as normal. Can you do that? Sit across from Dr. Nathan Pierce and pretend. Sit across from my wife and smile. Live in the lie for a few more weeks while Patricia built the case. How long? 2 weeks, maybe 3, I need to coordinate with the state medical board, file preliminary custody motions, and get law enforcement involved. This is a criminal matter, Michael. It needs to be handled correctly. What about Emma? Patricia's expression softened slightly. Emma is our priority. Everything we do is about protecting her. The recordings of them coaching her, that's parental alienation. Combined with the drugging, the fraud, the financial conspiracy, you're going to get full custody. I'm confident of that. And Rachel? Rachel is going to lose more than custody. Patricia stacked the evidence neatly. Dr. Pierce will lose his license at minimum, possibly face criminal charges. Your wife will face fraud charges, possibly conspiracy charges if we can prove she knew about the brake line. Even if we can't prove that conclusively, the court will eviscerate her in the custody hearing. She looked at me directly. This isn't just divorce evidence, Michael. This is complete and total destruction of everyone who hurt you. We're going nuclear. Are you sure that's what you want? I remembered Rachel's laugh on the recording. Of course not. He's so busy trying to fix things, he can't see what's actually broken. I remembered Nathan's voice. Accidents happen, especially to men under stress. I remembered my daughter's small voice. But Daddy doesn't scare me. Daddy's nice. No settlement, no mediation, just complete exposure. Yes, I said, that's exactly what I want. For 2 weeks, I lived a double life. During the day, I was Michael Thompson, concerned husband, devoted father, compliant patient. I attended therapy sessions, nodded when Dr. Pierce suggested I seemed more centered lately, smiled when Rachel asked if I was feeling better. The medication's really helping, I told them. I'd stopped taking it the day I met Patricia, but they didn't need to know that. At night, I was someone else, someone who compiled evidence, who met with Patricia's team, who gave statements to the state medical board investigator and the detective assigned to the fraud case. The hardest part was sitting across from Dr. Pierce in his office, surrounded by his diplomas and his books on therapeutic practice, while he took notes in his leather journal. How are things with Rachel? He asked during our second-to-last session. Better, I think. She seems happier. And how does that make you feel? I wanted to laugh, to scream, to throw his own words back at him from the recordings. Does he still think I'm here to save your marriage? Instead, I said, hopeful, like maybe we're making progress. That's wonderful, Michael. Progress takes time. You just have to trust the process. Trust the process. The phrase that had become a weapon, that he'd used to keep me compliant while they destroyed me from the inside. I'm trying, I said. I know you are, and I'm proud of the work you're doing. He smiled, warm, genuine, the smile of a man who had no idea that in 3 days, his entire world would collapse. I smiled back. Thank you, Dr. Pierce. That means a lot. The confrontation happened on a Tuesday. Of course it did. Tuesday nights, when I supposedly worked late, when they supposedly had 2 hours. But this Tuesday, I came home early. Patricia said it was time. Rachel was in the kitchen making dinner, humming along to music. She looked up when I walked in, surprised. Hey, you're home early. We need to talk. Something in my voice made her pause. Okay, what's wrong? I pulled out my tablet, set it on the counter, opened the audio file folder. I want to show you something, I said, my voice steady, calm. I'd practiced this with Patricia. Stay controlled. Don't give her ammunition for the unstable husband narrative. I pressed play on file number 1. Her own voice filled the kitchen. He doesn't suspect anything yet. Rachel's face went white. Michael, I pressed play on file 8. Dr. Pierce's voice. Does he still think I'm here to save your marriage? Where did you get those? Cloud backup. You must have forgotten to turn off auto sync on your phone. I scrolled through the list. 47 sessions. I've listened to all of them. She reached for the tablet. I pulled it back. Don't. Michael, please, let me explain. I picked up Rachel's purple notebook from the counter where I'd placed it, opened to page 23, set it in front of her. Goal, full custody by Christmas. I read it aloud. Want to explain that? She was shaking now. You went through my things. You drugged me for months, crushed Xanax into my coffee. Want to explain that? Tears started, on command, just like she'd taught Emma. I was trying to help you. You were so stressed. Help me? I almost laughed. You and Dr. Pierce discussed how chemical dependency would make me look unstable in court. I have the recording. The tears stopped, just like that. Her face shifted, harder, the mask falling away. You can't use those. Those were private therapy sessions, attorney-client privilege, or doctor-patient confidentiality, or whatever. They're not privileged when they document crimes, Rachel, and my lawyer assures me they're very admissible. Your lawyer? I pulled out my phone, showed her the email from Patricia. Subject line, State Medical Board hearing, Dr. Nathan Pierce, November 18th. That's tomorrow, I said. They're revoking his license permanently. There's also a criminal investigation into the prescriptions he forged, the insurance fraud, and the mechanic's report on my brake line is with the police. She grabbed the counter. The brakes weren't me. I didn't know about that. But you knew about the insurance policy. You knew about drugging me. You knew about coaching Emma to lie. I pulled up the audio file, let her hear her own daughter's voice. But Daddy doesn't scare me. Rachel's face crumpled, real tears now. I never wanted to hurt you. You wanted to erase me. There's a difference. We fell in love, Michael. It happens. And Nathan said the cleanest way to end things was if you looked like you couldn't handle custody. So you systematically destroyed my credibility, made me think I was losing my mind, put our daughter in the middle. And when that wasn't enough, someone cut my brake line. I swear I didn't know about that. Nathan must have... She stopped, realized what she was admitting. I didn't yell. I just pressed play on one more file. Session 31. Let her hear Nathan's voice. Accidents happen, especially to men under stress, taking unprescribed medication, driving while impaired. He wouldn't, she whispered. He did. The police have the mechanic's report. They're investigating attempted murder. I picked up my tablet, my phone, the notebook. There's a custody hearing in 3 days. I'm filing for emergency full custody tonight. Patricia says I'll get it. Rachel grabbed my arm. Please, Michael, please, don't take Emma from me. I looked at her hand on my arm, the same hand that had crushed pills into my coffee. That had written systematic plans for my destruction. That had held our daughter while teaching her to lie. I pulled away. You were supposed to break before you found out. Isn't that what you told me? That was the plan? She didn't deny it, just stood there crying while I walked out of the kitchen. Emma was upstairs, safe, headphones on, watching a movie. She hadn't heard any of it. Pack a bag, Emmy, I said gently. We're staying at Uncle Tom's for a few days. Why? Mommy and I need to work some things out, but it's going to be okay, I promise. She looked worried. 7 years old and already too aware that something was wrong. Is Mommy sad again? Yes, sweetie, but it's not your job to fix that, okay? She nodded, started packing her unicorn backpack. I helped her, made sure she had her stuffed rabbit, her favorite books, the drawings she'd made of us. When we left, Rachel was still in the kitchen, standing in the wreckage of everything she'd built, everything she was about to lose. I didn't look back. The State Medical Board hearing was held in a conference room that smelled like old coffee and fluorescent lights. 12 members of the board, Dr. Nathan Pierce and his attorney, a court reporter, and me, sitting in the back with Patricia. They played excerpts from the audio files, Session 8, Session 15, Session 28 where they coached Emma, Session 31 about the insurance policy. I watched Dr. Pierce's face as he listened to his own voice. watched the color drain, watched his attorney lean over and whisper frantically. The board chairwoman was a woman in her 60s with steel gray hair and no patience for nonsense. Dr. Pierce, she said, did you engage in a sexual relationship with the spouse of a client you were actively treating? Yes, but it wasn't. Did you write prescriptions for medication to that client's husband without conducting proper medical evaluations? His attorney tried to object. The chairwoman held up a hand. Did you write these prescriptions? The patient expressed symptoms of anxiety. I was trying to help. Did you backdate medical records to make it appear these prescriptions were legitimate? Silence. Dr. Pierce, answer the question. Yes. The chairwoman picked up Emma's drawing, the one from the beach trip. Our secret family trip. Did you encourage parental alienation by coaching a 7-year-old child to make false statements about her father? We were just role-playing therapeutic scenarios. Role-playing? The chairwoman's voice could have cut glass. Dr. Pierce, I've been on this board for 22 years. I've seen misconduct. I've seen boundary violations. I've seen therapists who lost their way. She held up the transcript from session 31. I have never seen such calculated abuse of therapeutic privilege. This isn't just malpractice. This is psychological warfare. She looked at the other board members. I'm calling for an immediate vote on permanent license revocation. It was unanimous. 12 hands raised. No discussion needed. Dr. Nathan Pierce, your license to practice marriage and family therapy in this state is permanently revoked, effective immediately. You are barred from reapplying. Additionally, this board is referring your case to law enforcement for criminal investigation into prescription fraud, insurance fraud, and conspiracy. His attorney stood, started to argue. The chairwoman cut him off. We're done here. Get out of my hearing room. I watched him leave, the man who'd sat across from me for a year, nodding sympathetically while I poured my heart out, who'd taken notes on my pain and used them as a blueprint for my destruction. He didn't look at me as he walked past. Didn't acknowledge my existence. Good, because soon I'd be returning the favor. Rachel's world collapsed in stages. Her job called 2 days after the confrontation. Someone had sent them the audio files. The marketing firm had a morality clause in their employment contracts. Engaging in fraud, conspiracy, and child endangerment violated about 17 different company policies. They fired her over the phone. Patricia swore it wasn't us, but I had my suspicions. Information has a way of traveling in professional circles. Her mother called next. Rachel had sent the recordings to her parents, trying to explain, trying to get them on her side. It backfired spectacularly. How could you do this to Emma? Her mother said. I only knew because Rachel's phone was on speaker when she called, desperate for support. I was picking up some of Emma's things from the house. Mom, please. You taught your granddaughter to lie. You drugged your husband. Her mother's voice broke. I don't know who you are anymore. The call ended. Rachel looked at me, mascara streaming down her face. My own mother won't speak to me. I picked up Emma's art supplies, didn't respond. Say something, please. Anything. What do you want me to say, Rachel? That I forgive you? That this was all a misunderstanding? I zipped up the bag. You made your choices. Now you get to live with them. Her phone buzzed. Text messages. I saw the screen light up from across the room. Her friend group chat. Someone had leaked the story. The messages were brutal. Oh my God, Rachel. I can't believe you did this. Oh, don't contact me again. Poor Michael, poor Emma. She threw her phone across the room. It hit the wall, cracked. Everyone hates me. Yes, I said simply. They do. Her lawyer quit the next day, sent a brief email citing irreconcilable differences in case strategy. Translation: he'd listened to the recordings and realized defending her was career suicide. By the time the custody hearing rolled around, Rachel was alone. No job, no family support, no friends, no legal representation beyond a court-appointed attorney who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. The judge was a woman named Martinez. 20 years on the family court bench, she'd seen everything. She listened to the custody evaluator's report, listened to excerpts from the audio files, read the psychological evaluation that cleared me of any mental health issues, and documented the effects of being unknowingly medicated for months. Then she asked to speak to Emma. Patricia had prepared me for this. Emma would be questioned privately in chambers, with just the judge and a child advocate present. Age-appropriate questions, gentle, designed to understand her perspective without traumatizing her. 20 minutes later, Judge Martinez came back. Her face was grim. I've reviewed all the evidence. I've spoken with Emma, and I'm prepared to rule. She looked at Rachel. Miss Thompson, what you did to this child, teaching her to lie, using her as a weapon against her father, is one of the most egregious examples of parental alienation I've seen in my career. You prioritized your affair over your daughter's well-being. You actively harmed her father, and by extension, harmed her. Rachel was crying. The attorney beside her looked like he wanted to disappear. I'm awarding full physical and legal custody to Mr. Thompson. You will have supervised visitation only twice monthly pending completion of a parenting course and psychological evaluation. Please, Rachel whispered, please don't take my daughter. You took her father, Judge Martinez said quietly. You tried to erase him from her life. You taught her that manipulation and lies were acceptable tools. Those are not the actions of a parent who puts her child first. She signed the order, slid it across to the clerk. We're done here. 6 months later, Emma ran to me after school, her backpack bouncing, papers flying out like confetti. Daddy, look! I caught the papers. A drawing on construction paper, still damp with paint. My real family, the title said in her improving handwriting. 2 stick figures, one tall, one small, holding hands, a dog between them. The golden retriever we'd adopted last month, the one Emma named Buddy. No purple crayon hearts, no secret people, just us. It's beautiful, Emmy. We're having an art show next week. Can you come? Of course, I wouldn't miss it. She grinned, grabbed my hand. We walked to the car. My new car, the one with functioning brakes and no bad memories. Life had settled into a new rhythm. Emma saw Rachel twice a month, supervised visits at a family center. The visits were fine, awkward. Rachel was trying, I'd give her that, actually trying to be a parent instead of a manipulator. It would never be what it was, but maybe that was okay. What it was had been built on lies anyway. I'd started therapy, real therapy, with Dr. Sarah Chen, a woman Patricia recommended. She was in her 40s, calm, direct, with boundaries so clear you could see them from space. In our 3rd session, she'd said, "You're safe here, Michael. This is your space." I'd smiled. "I'll decide that for myself." She'd smiled back. "Good, you should." Emma's teacher waved at us from the school steps. "See you next week, Emma." "Bye, Ms. Rodriguez." We drove home, Emma chattering about her day, about art class, about how Buddy learned to sit. Normal things, beautiful things, the kind of things I'd almost lost. At a red light, Emma looked at me. "Daddy, are you happy?" I thought about the question, about everything we'd been through, about Rachel's supervised visits and Dr. Pierce's revoked license and the court documents that said I was Emma's primary parent, about this moment, right here. My daughter beside me, asking if I was happy. "Yeah, Emmy, I am." "Good, me too." The light turned green. We drove home. That night I tucked Emma into bed. She showed me the new drawing again. My real family. "Do you miss having mommy here?" I asked gently. Dr. Chen said to give her space to express complicated feelings. Emma thought about it. "Sometimes, but I like this better. When it was all three of us, everybody was sad and pretending not to be. Now it's just us, and we're actually happy. Kids see more than you think they do. I'm glad you're happy, sweetheart. Daddy? She hugged her stuffed rabbit. Thank you for keeping your promises. You said it would be okay, and it is. I kissed her forehead. Always, Emmy. I'll always keep my promises to you. She fell asleep, holding the rabbit. I picked up the drawing from her nightstand, looked at it in the hallway light. 2 figures, simple, honest, real. I put it on the refrigerator next to her other artwork. Beside the note I'd written for tomorrow's lunch, have a great day, Emmy, love, Dad. Same note I wrote every day, same lunch I packed every morning, same promises I kept. No grand revelations, no philosophical speeches. Just this, showing up, being present, building something real from the wreckage of what was fake. Emma had drawn us, just us. And that was enough. If you've built your own found family after betrayal, whether it's you and your kids, you and your friends, or just you and the person you fought to become, I want to hear about it. Share your story in the comments. Maybe someone else needs to know they're not alone in rebuilding.